once again. Let's get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. All right. So Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. Let's get started. Today we are going to put it all together. Just do a recap of the concept that we are talking about, the three eternal powers of God. And we will do a side-by-side revision of all the concepts that we have discussed about and take it on from there. So let's get started. Hope you are staying warm wherever you are. It's getting really cold. So do stay warm with, wherever you are. It's pretty cold where I am at least. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to repeat this shloka and then you're welcome to follow along. And then we will get deeper into the topic of our discussion today. Like I said, we will again do a recap of the three entities that we are talking about and go a little more in detail as well. Okay. Naham prakasha sarvasya Yogamaya samavritah Mudhoyam nabhijanati Loko mamajamavyayam. All right, so let's get started. Volunteers who want to take along. Radhe Radhe Samji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajamavyayam.
Wonderful, very nice, Samji. Radhe Radhe. Okay, let's take the remaining hands.
Radhe Radhe, Dinesh ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah Mudoyam nabhijanati loko mamaja avyayam. Radhe Radhe.
Ajam avyayam. Very nice. Thank you, Dinesh ji. Radhe Radhe. Okay, let's pick up the remaining hands.
Radhe Radhe, Somesh ji.
Radhe Radhe, Nitin ji. Radhe Radhe, everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
Naham prakasa sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajamavyayam. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice, Sumesh ji. Hope you're feeling warm. Looks like it's really cold there.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, let's take the remaining hands.
Radhe Radhe, Surya Prakash ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Surya Prakash ji.
Radhe Radhe. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah modo yam nabhijanati loko mamajamavyayam.
Wonderful, Surya Prakash ji. All right, who's next?
Radhe Radhe, Riya ji, please go ahead.
Riya ji.
Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudo yam nabhijanati loko mam ajam avyayam.
Very nice, Riya ji. Radhe Radhe. All right, three more hands.
Radhe Radhe, Sandhya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Sandhya. Radhe Radhe.
नाहं प्रकाशः सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः मूढोऽयं नाभिजानाति लोको मामजमव्ययम्.
Wonderful, very nice, Sandhya. All right, last two hands.
Radhe Radhe Ramesh ji, please go ahead.
Yeah,
Radhe
Radhe
Ramesh ji.
Radhe. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudho yanna bhijanati loko mamajam avyayam.
Very nice, Ramesh ji. All right, last two hands.
Radhe Radhe Ramya ji.
Radhe
Radhe
Radhe.
Radhe, Shramya.
Prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah मूढोऽयं नापि जानाति लोको मामजम् अव्ययम्. Thank you.
Wonderful, very nice. Last but not the least, Pragi ji.
Radhe Radhe Pragi ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
नाहं प्रकाश सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः मूढोऽयं नाभिजानाति लोको मावज अव्ययम्.
Very nice, Pragi ji. Thank you. So let's get
Radhe
started. Radhe Radhe. So this shloka, Lord Krishna is telling, I am not manifest to everyone, being veiled by my divine Yogmaya energy. Hence, those without knowledge do not know that I am without birth and changeless. So let's continue on this topic. Today, we are going to conclude this session by recapping the key concepts that we have been discussing on this topic. So let's look at it and get underway. So this is what we are going to talk about today. We are going to recap, put it all together, Brahma, Jeeva and Maya, putting it all together, looking at it side by side so that we understand it very clearly. And more importantly, fine, we are discussing this concept. What does it mean for me? Okay, we are understanding a philosophy. How does it fundamentally change anything for me, with regards to what I should be doing? And that is something we'll talk about as well. So let's get started on this topic. So now Supreme Energetic Lord Krishna, he has infinite energies, and amongst these three are the main ones. Okay, so for people of our Brahmand or Mrityulok, rather than trying to understand infinite energies of God, which is good to know, but then from our standpoint, what we need to know is these three eternal entities. Okay, for the sake of our understanding, what we need to know at this point. And what are these three entities? This is what we have been talking about. The first one is his internal energy, Yogamaya. The second one is his borderline energy, the Jeeva Tattva, which is no one but us. And the third one is the Maya. Right? We have spoken about these concepts in great detail over the last week or so. So today we will put it all together. So it will be a good recap, revision, and I just want to make sure we are all on the same page with regards to this key concepts that we are discussing. So let's get started and look at this concept. Now, three main energies of God, which is the Yogamaya, the Jeev, and the Maya Tattva. Okay. Let's get started looking at each one of these side by side. Yogamaya is called the internal power of God, which is a superior energy of God. Okay. The Jeeva Shakti is the borderline power of God. It's like you have a surface, you have a core, and then you have an external energy. Okay. And the Maya is the external or the inferior energy of God. So between Maya and Yogamaya is the superior energy. It's the internal power of God. Maya is the inferior energy. It is the external power of God. And we are the Tatastha Shakti borderline. Okay. is what that needs to be understood. Secondly, this is Sat-Chit Anand. It's made up of Sat-Chit and Anand. The Jeeva Shakti is Anusat, Anuchit, Anu Anand. We are divine, but we have it to a finite, limited extent. The knowledge, the bliss aspect of it, basically, is at a and that everlasting aspect, right? That is also limited. We are not Sat-Chit Anand as yet. And this is called Jad Shakti, which is energized by God. The third one is energized by God, but it is a Jad Shakti. It is not sentient. Jad. Okay. So this is what Maya is. Third one is it's also called the Parashakti of God, Swarupa Shakti or Antarangi Shakti. So if you come across these terms, they essentially refer to the same, the Yogamaya power of God. Okay, they are synonymous, right? Paryay Vachi Shabd, like in Hindi, they used to say, they are all synonymous with the Yogamaya power of God. Now, Jeeva Shakti, like I said, it is called Tatastha Shakti. Tatastha means borderline. Right? We looked at, when we started off with this sessions series, we looked at the river, we looked at the land, and then we looked at the bank of a river. So the bank of a river is Tatastha Shakti. It is between the water body and the land. However, that aspect of a river, which is called a bank, is under the Adhipatya dominion of water, although it is land. Okay. So similar to that, we'll talk about that. This is called, Maya is called Apara Bahirangi Shakti as well. Jada Shakti, Apara Shakti, Bahirangi Shakti, they are all Maya, reference to the Maya Shakti of God. All three are powers of God. Okay. Then the key thing here to understand is Yogamaya is subservient to God. It's like a relationship between Shakti and Shaktiman. It is subservient to God means it is serving God. God can utilize that power at his will. And it helps take God avatar and bestow grace. It is an important aspect because if you take away this power, God becomes Nirakar Brahma. Okay. So this is the power through which God is able to take on a descension or an avatar from time to time. And this is also the power that enables God to take on a form, to have that sweet pastimes, leelas, and all that stuff. Light or Nirakar Brahm cannot do leelas. Right? It can only be sthir. It cannot do that. It's nishchal, but it cannot do leelas. It cannot assume a form without the Yogamaya power. So it has the Yogamaya power, but it is latent. God chooses to hide it. The only place where the Yogamaya power is in full form is in his Bhagavan Swarup when he descends. Okay. And it enables God to achieve impossible feats. Lord Krishna is called Yogeshwar. He's called Yogeshwar because he has perfect control not only over his senses but over his mood temperament as well. He doesn't become upset like we people do. Whether he's serving or whether he's ruling, in both the cases, his temperament remains the same. How does it happen? We become anxious, we become tension yukt with small things. God doesn't become tension yukt, right? Even if people are cursing him or saying there's no God or saying, God is long dead, God, he's pretty much equanimous to all of that stuff. We looked at that story also, right? Satyabhama, when Lord Narad, he took Lord Krishna as his servant. He was sold off basically. He started walking with Narad as if nothing had happened. Whether he's ruling Mathura or he's going with somebody, he's in the same mood. So that is enabled, that kind of a thing is enabled, permanent, perpetual bliss is enabled by the power of his Yogamaya Shakti. Now talking about Jeev is also constitutionally an eternal servant of God, being a fragment of God. However, under the influence of Maya, it has been serving Maya since time eternity. Is there anybody in this world who's not serving Maya? See, we are servants. Serving is our dharma. Dharma means something which is inseparable from somebody's existence. For example, The dharma of fire is to burn or being hot. Dharma of water is to be wet. Dharma of ice is to be cold. Similarly, dharma of humans is to serve. Why serve? Because if you look at this world, no matter what somebody is doing, they are actually serving somebody only. You might be serving your parents, you might be serving your relatives, you might be serving your boss at office, or you might be serving the stakeholders of your company, or you might be serving your friends in some way or another. If nothing, you will pick up a pet and start serving him. But the point is that serving is our eternal dharma because we are servants. That is our constitutional position. Now, whether we choose to serve God or Maya is our choice. And because of our ignorance, we have been serving Maya since time eternity. Okay, that is our position right now. Why? Because we have turned our back towards God. And turning our back towards God means being bereft of God consciousness, where we have forgotten our eternal relationship with God and instead choosing to serve Maya or enjoy Maya. Right? We have become bhokta, or we want to enjoy Maya. That is our position right now, being a Jeeva Shakti. So the Maya Shakti is also servant of God because the relationship between energy and energetic is always, energy is always going to serve the energetic. So there also that relationship is maintained. Maya is serving God to perfection. Maya does a few things. It will, first of all, it gives us the freedom to choice, freedom to act independently. Maya does not stop you from doing anything. It gives you the freedom to work independently, right? Because God has given us the free will. However, with that freedom comes a price tag. Okay, you have a freedom to choose, but then there are consequences. And those consequences are meted out to us in form of law of karma. Okay. And Maya would repeatedly tell us this is not the right place. Go to my master, because everything that you repose faith that you're going to get happiness out of it is eventually going to give you disappointment in Maya. And Maya will keep telling you periodically, intermittently, that this is not the right place. Turn towards my master. And then we learn it either through listening it from the saints or by facing material reversals. Maya will make sure that you will get, I mean, we don't get tired, that's a different thing, but Maya will keep on reminding us this is not the right place. You are coming to me, go to my master. So that way, Maya is serving its master as best as a servant would do. Okay, nobody in this world has extracted happiness out of this Maya, although their mind might be creating this hallucination. Today I have not, tomorrow I will somehow. It will not. Okay, it's just a trap of Maya, Tom, that your mind is creating. Otherwise, there is absolutely no happiness in Maya. Okay, and you, through your experience, you will realize it. If you think deeply, you'll understand it. But if lifetime after lifetime we keep on spending time, and we die with the hope that this lifetime, because of these things, it did not happen. Next lifetime, I will definitely extract that happiness, because so and so of my friend, or so and so of my relative, or so and so of somebody I knew was happy. Okay, that's a hallucination your mind has created. Okay, and that is the role of Maya. Okay, so this is a quick side-by-side summary of all the three summary, basically, energies of God. Now, what does it mean for me? Okay, you're saying, okay, you're talking about these three main energies. What does it mean? How does it, why should I even bother to know about it? We do need to. And this is what we will talk about now. Because it really makes your approach, when you understand the theory behind it, it can fundamentally change your approach, the way you approach your spirituality, right? How does it matter to me? That would be the question. Now, if you are consider yourself Brahma Swarup, right? Advaita philosophy says, when you say, I am God, right? That changes your approach towards your spirituality. You become a Jnani. Or if you are a Bhakt, let's look at it side by side, what it means. Okay. The Jnani will say, Soham. Soham is in, right? Soham, and that. Bhakt will say, Soham is fine. They will attach a da to it. Dasoham. So Jnani will say, I am God. And Bhakt will say, Dasoham. I am the servant of God. Because they understand I am the Jeev Tattva. I am not God. I am the fragment of God. And as a fragment of God, I have to serve God. Because it's in serving I shall receive. I'm not the stomach. I'm the hand. A Bhakt understands that. Okay. So Jnani comes and says, Sada Soham. Always that. Brahma Swarup. Right? Shivoham, Shivoham, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi. These are the statements you will hear. Devotee says, he puts another Sada Soham. Sada Das, sorry, it will be Sada Dasoham. So when he puts Sada, he puts another Dasoham, Sada Dasoham. Always a servant. And then this just continues. So from no, so the Bhakt says, you said Sada Soham, he says Daso Dasoham. I am the servant of God. They put another da before that. Right? Dasa Dasoham, that I am the servant of God. So this continues basically. Now what happens on the Gyan side, it can fuel false pride that I'm that only. It's just that I've forgotten. And once I remember it, I'm already there. Now, Bhakt, it takes us closer to humility, understanding no, I'm just a fragment of God and I need to rely on His grace to achieve my potential. So, on the right hand side, it takes you closer to humility, your true constitutional position. On the left hand side, it can fuel false pride. What else then? Moksha is the goal, ultimate goal. Serving God is the goal. Moksha is a byproduct of it. It's fundamentally changing if you are noticing, the way. And here the God is Vibhu and Mayadhish, if you understand. God is Vibhu and Mayadhish. Mayadhish means he is the owner of Maya. He's beyond Maya. He's governing Maya. And on this side, not on this side actually, oops. Now they understand that we are Anu and Mayadhin. Right? This is just an understanding. Vibhu, God is Vibhu and Mayadhish, and Jivatma is Anu and Mayadhin. That is the understanding. Now, let's tackle it logically as well. If God is all powerful, can God get overpowered by his inferior energy Maya and become ignorant? If we were God to begin with, we have already contradicted the definition of God by coming under Maya. Isn't it contradictory in itself? If we were Shivoham, we were Tattvamasi, we were Aham Brahmasmi, shouldn't we be beyond Maya to begin with? Now somebody might say it's a Leela. Okay, God is doing Leela, you are already God. All right, in that case, once I realize God, what is the guarantee again I will not come under Maya? Is there any guarantee anybody can give? Right? Nobody can. So basically this philosophy is not able to answer the deeper questions around it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had said, Bheda Bhed Sambandh, Achintya Bheda Bhed Sambandh. That means you cannot understand it, but let's understand it at high level that we are same and yet different. We are not God, we are divine, but we are Anu Shakti of the same God. Once we become God realized, then we become Swarupa Shakti Yukt, and then we become Vibhu. From Anu to Vibhu, journey is spirituality. Okay. And so anyways, even in the Bhaja Govindam aspect, Shankaracharya, he has glorified Lord Krishna there, where he says, dim intellect, simply surrender to God, to Govinda. And then he has written some beautiful composition, Yamuna Tatanika to Vrindavan Karne, right? Group Dhyan meditation. If you check out, Swamiji has a beautiful meditation. It is picked up from Shankaracharya's composition only. So the top saint on the Gyan Marg himself propagated surrender to God, or Krishna Bhakti for that matter. Okay. And basically the concept here to be understood is that if you consider yourself as a God, then you are progressing, you are looking at it from a Gyan angle. If you are as a devotee, you are considering yourself as a servant of God. Both will change your approach fundamentally. In one case, you will think that you are God and it can fuel false pride. On the other way, you will truly understand what your position is and you rely on God's grace to keep on making a progress. Right? And the logical fallacy around this whole thing is that if people say that we are God, then first of all, God is not all powerful. It's like darkness has overcome sun, night has overcome sun. Not possible. Secondly, if it was some kind of a Leela, then once we become God realized, what is the guarantee we will not again come back under this ignorance? So Maharaj has very clearly explained, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, once you become God realized, you are a done deal. It's not that you will keep falling back. God realization means you are a done deal. At that point, you are never come under the spell of Maya. You have become Mayadhish at that point, or you will never come under the influence of the darkness. Okay, this is how this process works. Now let's move on. We are talking about the Yoga Maya. So here is Maya. Okay, let's talk about Maya. It is like maybe this cloud. This is Jeev, the aeroplane. It is flying under Maya. Right? It is under the clouds. This is how it will go, this process. So if you look at it, it is under Maya. Right? It's Mayadheen. Let's understand it through some visual illustration of it. And this is Jeev. Yoga Maya, okay, will lift it. And then what happens is, now it is above Maya. So let's simply understand it. Once you are above Maya, this aeroplane will never come under the cloud. It is a done deal. So this is how it goes. So Yoga Maya is something which the Jeev gets. The Jeev becomes Yoga Maya Yukt. We are talking about Maya, Jeev, and Yoga Maya power. Right? Let's understand this. Right now, on the left hand side, the Jeev is under Maya. And once it becomes Yoga Maya Yukt, then it is beyond Maya and it will never come under Maya at that point. How does it come under? When will that parachute come and lift the Jeev beyond Maya? When the Jeev has purified its Antakaran. Okay, if it has carried out that cleaning process of Shuddhikaran of Antakaran, that's when Yoga Maya will come and that eligibility is made. It will bestow its grace and lift it beyond Maya. And it is a done deal at that point. Okay. So God realization means you get God's personal power, Yoga Maya power. Okay. You can do creation. You can read everybody's mind. You become Malamal and you are beyond Maya at that point. And you can eternally enjoy God's bliss in his personal abode. That's what it means when you become Yoga Maya Yukt. And at that point, you only have three things to do. Continue to enjoy that state wherever you are in God's abode, right? The rasas can vary based on where you are in Golok or any other planet. That is the first option. The second option is you choose to come back as a saint and serve God. Say, okay, I will go and help other people out. And the third option is you could choose to participate in God's Leelas and his pastime, like a lot of gopis came when Krishna came in his avatar. All three are there. Options are there at that point. Okay. But the point is you are no longer under Maya at that point. You will not be subject to the rules of Maya. You are beyond Maya at that point. You may choose to take on a prarabdha, but it will not affect you. You are Vide and you are in perpetual bliss. That is how this process works. Yes, Sandhya, you had a question?
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. So, I just wanted to get it clarified. So, like the way it is shown in this schematic, the journey from Mayadheen to Mayadhish is actively, like we are actively pulled out of Maya through the grace of Yog Maya, is that right?
True. It's through the grace of Yoga Maya you get pulled out of Maya. That is the only, right? Mam Maya Duratyaya, and then he says that Prasadat Param is the word that Krishna has used, that Tarantite, Maya Tarantite, that then you will cross over Maya at that point. So it's through his grace only you could go across Maya at that point. So that is how the process goes. Hope it makes sense. What you're talking about. See, we're talking about the three entities, right? Right now we under Maya, and then through Yoga Maya's power, you go beyond Maya. You don't come back at that point, right? This goes on to explain the same point that I was trying to make in the previous slide as well, that once you get beyond that Maya, then you cannot become ignorant again. If we were God to begin with, that negates the very definition of God. How did we come under Maya? And if we came under Maya, what is the guarantee we will not come under Maya again? So that is what is being tackled by Maharajji and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as well, and Swamiji, as he explains beautifully. That once you become God realized, you are beyond Maya at that point. Absolutely no obligation whatsoever. At that point, you have all the three options. Continue to enjoy that, relish that bliss, come back as a saint, or choose to participate as part of his leelas. When Krishna comes, he typically comes with his gang or his troop. Some of them are Nitya Siddh, some of them are God realized saints, Sadhan Siddh, and some of them are people on the tipping point of God realization who get a simulation along with God to perfect that aspect. All three combination is there as part of his leelas, right? Like Gopi, some of them were the Jivatmas who were on the tipping point of God realization in Madhurya Bhav. Some of them were Nitya Siddh, some of them were Sadhan Siddh, who had already perfected. So all three kind of categories could come down as part of his leelas. And then saints, of course, they come from time to time to help people like us. And then, or you could simply say, enough of this, I just want to enjoy the bliss there, okay? Whatever is there in Golok, okay, we will get to know that. All possibilities are there. Now, then talking about Yoga Maya, like Bhakti Shatak, we were talking about this verse. What's happening? I don't know, this slide keeps on. Okay. Right, this was the verse we picked up, the first one, the very first verse, which talks about the Advitya Tattva. Right? We spoke about that Radha Tattva is Pradhan and Yako Dujo Roop hai Swam Krishna Bhagwan. So there is absolutely no difference between Radha Tattva and Krishna Bhagwan. And absolute supreme divinity Sri Radha, who is an absolute essence of divine love, and her other form is Krishna, who descended on this earth 5,000 years ago at the end of the age of Dwapar. And we also looked at it, the relationship that they have, right? Souls. See, our body is energized by our soul. The soul of our soul is God, Paramatma, and the soul of our soul is the Radha Tattva. The soul of God basically is Radha Tattva. And in case of God, there is no difference between his body and his soul. That is another concept we spoke about, right? So moving on, continuing on that, what did I do now? Oops. Now, in this concept, we spoke about it. Now let's look at it. So this is Krishna, this is Radha Tattva, right? So if you look at it, between them, both are non-different and inseparable from each other. Okay, and that is the first concept to be understood. It is like milk and whiteness. Right? You cannot separate both of them. Both eggs coexist. Sugar and sweetness. We cannot separate sweetness from sugar. Have you had a sugar which is neutral in taste? Or have you had a milk which is non-white? Not possible. Now, if you're having milk in India, that is a different thing. At some places, they put a lot of water, or maybe in water, they put milk. But then milk and whiteness, they go hand in hand. Okay, so that is the integral part of our very identity. And heat and light, can you separate that from fire? You cannot. So, but however, and they serve each other. unlike material world, where the sole objective or um, objective of material relationship is to take and enjoy and do it for yourself, right? This relationship, both derive pleasure in serving each other. This is the fundamental difference in this relationship. Okay, Shakti is serving Shaktiman, and Shaktiman also in some bhav starts serving Shakti as well. Okay, so that is the kind of a relationship that they have, and they engage in divine pastimes, multiple divine pastimes. Now people say that Radha Tattva, they don't understand. They say, well, if Krishna and Radha were lovers, why didn't they marry each other? First of all, we cannot dissect it from a material intellect. They are never separate. They are inseparable. Now, in divine leelas, they may choose to, and someone, Radha comes, she comes before Krishna. In some of the leelas, Krishna comes before Radha. In some of the leelas, they do get married. In some of the leelas, they don't get married. Doesn't matter. They are eternally united. In one of the leelas, Swamiji explained that Radha and Krishna, they got married. And you know who was the Panditji? Not the Arketi Panditji. Brahmaji was the Purohit in that marriage. So that is also happens. Now people get stuck in this concept only that, why they didn't get married. And somebody was asking me that was an extramarital affair of Krishna. I mean, we put our mundane intellect to God's leelas. That is not how it has to be understood. They are inseparable actually. They are just doing divine leelas. Okay, we can't put our intellect to that leela that they didn't get married. Why didn't he get married? They are inseparable. They are doing divine leelas around it. Sometimes they get married, sometimes they don't. So we don't have to put that. Eternally, they are inseparable from each other. Okay, and if we really bother about this question, then we should really think about how do we get an opportunity to attend their marriage. Okay, that itself will lead us to God realization. But worrying and thinking about it, as trying to dissect the relationship between Radha and Krishna through our material intellect, worldly intellect, and getting question mark is not going to be helpful. That doesn't take us very far. So that is the whole idea around this Yoga Maya Tattva that we spoke about. What happened? Did it finish?
Yes, I think
Presentation itself finished. Okay, no worries. Let me do that again. So, any questions so far? I know I've been talking about, we spoke about a lot of concept. Any questions on the three powers, the parallel comparison that we looked at it, or otherwise that we spoke about today? Are you able to see my screen, or I stopped share?
No, not
Stop
yet.
share.
Yeah.
Okay, I did stop share. Hold on. Okay, I'm sharing it again now. Are you able to see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, any questions around? Because this is a very important concept, fundamental concept, the building block, and will fundamentally define how you approach your spirituality as well, right? So that's why we picked up this concept. Any questions on this? I see Bhim Shankarji.
Radhe Radhe Bhim Shankarji.
Radhe Radhe. So in
Radhe
Shiv's, it is said in the second aphorism, Chaitanya Atma, everything is Chaitanyamaya. When everything is Chaitanyamaya, where does this Jada exist? Even a stone has life. I mean, though it is so inert that it appears not to have life. Plants and trees, they also express emotions, but they are rarely seen. I mean, even in nature, consciousness is there in every atom. So there is nothing which is bereft of consciousness. So how is this Jad Shakti to be understood when everything is Chaitanya Atma?
Yeah, it's a good question actually. If you think about it, everything is permeated by God himself, right? If God was not present in, let's say, at a, the subatomic level, like we were talking about, right? If the spin of one of the atom, subatomic particle, or the mass, or the velocity, whatever it is, it changes just a little, then it can become plasma. So, and our scriptures say that this world is a veritable form of God, and God himself has said that he has permeated every atom of this universe. He's smaller than the smallest and bigger than the biggest, right? But I think from a Jad standpoint, might be a good question to ask Swamiji why it has been termed as Jad, even though God has permeated everything, right? Maybe the Panchamahabhut and all these things, they don't accrue. They are not subject to the law of karma, and they don't retaliate. If you abuse a stone, does it retaliate or feel anything? I don't know. Maybe there might be some criteria to call it jad, but actually, if you think about it, everything carries God's energy within itself, right? Maybe they are not subject to the law of karma, and that's why they are called insentient. But it might be a good question. But yes, these scripturally they have been termed as Jada Shakti and the Chetan Shakti. It has been very clearly differentiated. Jada Shakti and the Chetan Shakti. And Chetan Shakti is probably the one which has the free will, right? And the second, they are subject to the law of karma. Jada Shakti, I'm not sure if that is, they are not subject to the law of karma, and they don't have a free will or the intellect for that matter. Now, can Brahmaji or God make that Jada Shakti as another soul, put another soul into that? Possible, quite possible around it. At that point, it becomes Chetan, but it is bereft of soul, I believe, and that's why it is called so. But it might be a good question to clarify. I'll try to clarify that as well. Okay. Yes, Shri Ramya, you had a question too?
Radhe Radhe Ramya ji.
Yes, Radhe Radhe. We are Anu Sat, Anu Chit, and Anu Anand, right? So after God realization also we remain Anu Sat, Anu Chit, Anu Anand, or we became
No.
Satchidat?
We become such. We become Swarupa Shakti Yukt. When we become Swarupa Shakti Yukt, basically there is no difference between us and God at that point when we become God realized. Like I said, right? There is no difference between a God realized person and God. Okay, God gives him all the power that he has. There are some technical differences that you become Swarupa Shakti Yukt. You are still not the governor of Swarupa Shakti. Only Swanch of God, they are governors of. But from a practical standpoint, there's no difference. I think God still keeps a few things with himself, like administrative work or logging the karma and stuff like that. But other than that, from practical standpoint, you are a done deal. You are just like God at that point. Okay, that is what scriptures tell us. Okay,
But
you have all the powers of God at that point. Sorry.
I was saying after God realization also, if we want to serve God, then
Yeah.
we must be servant of God, right? Then we can't be same as God.
True. When you say with power, or it's like God has become your servant at that point. Okay. But then when it comes to being in perpetual bliss, because now you are Maya, you are beyond Maya at that point. You are not subject to Maya at that point, right? You continue to serve. See, it's like you still retain your identity. Can oil and water mix? They cannot mix. Oil and water, oil will always retain its identity in water. Similarly, Jeeva Shakti and God, they are still distinct. However, you have reached that stage where you are now eternally, you are beyond Maya, but you continue to serve God. You continue to be part of his pastimes, and you continue to serve till eternity, because bhakti is never finished. There's no Purnima in bhakti that, okay, I've reached the peak of bhakti and I can't serve God anymore. That is not, it continues forever. But you still retain your identity. You are still distinct from God, although you become godlike.
Okay. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
No worries. Yep. Yes, Vinisha ji, thank you for turning on your video. And I think it's the first
Radhe
you turned on
Radhe.
your video. Radhe Radhe.
So how do I know,
Sorry.
like, if my mind is like fully purified? Like, so how do I know if my mind is like fully purified? Do I get like some kind of feeling, or do I just know it?
So yeah, I think it's a good question. Only God and Guru would know how much your mind is purified and how much work is yet to be done, right? That is why they give you, Guru will assign you things, tasks that will help you cleanse it further. Having said that, there could be certain indicators you can, or certain litmus test you can apply to yourself to see how much it is cleansed. Okay, and those are very simple things, such as, do you get as upset as you used to get previously, or has your threshold increased? Previously Even if somebody touches a finger, you'll become upset. But now it takes a punch to make you upset. That might be one indicator. How easily it is that you become negative and pessimistic in life, or jealous of people around, or find it difficult to forgive people, or find it difficult to let go of things, or find it difficult to accept things. Are you getting better at that or not? So that itself will give you an indication that your mind is getting cleaner or not. How much joy quotient you are able to maintain and see positivity and optimism in life, that is again related to the quality or the cleanliness of your mind. If you're becoming upset, anxious, finding faults in people, and that means your quality of mind is not improving, it is becoming dirty. So these are small indicators which you can utilize for yourself, but your actual state of cleanliness index, so to say, relative to others, only God and Guru would know. Make sense?
Thank you so much, Radhe Radhe.
No worries. Radhe Radhe. Yes, Rahul ji.
There is a question from RTG. The question is, who does the Leela, God or Yogmaya?
Who does? Okay, Yogmaya enables God to do Leela. His Samvit Shakti and Sandhini Shakti, right? And they basically enable him to take on a form and bring in that sweetness that is there. So God does Leela. Let's not confuse. God and has Yogamaya power is basically his power only. They are not two separate entities. However, in divine realm, we talk about God's power. Yogamaya power has recorded more status because he has, in order to duplicate the ras, he has, created another version of himself in form of Radha. This is Yogamaya. So God is doing Leela. However, the power which is enabling him to do Leela is the Yogamaya power. If you take away the Yogamaya power, right, or hide it in God, God is never bereft of his Yogamaya power, by the way. He may choose to hide it in Nirakar Brahm aspect of it. Then he becomes Nirakar Brahm. He cannot do Leela. He's just present everywhere and bereft of Leela. All he's doing is logging your karma at that point, right? But he cannot do Leela. So we'll talk about the difference between the Paramatma, Bhagwan, and the Brahma aspect of God. That will shed more light on it. But God is doing Leela using his Yogamaya power, which is enabling that Leela. I hope that answers your question, Arthi. Okay, any more questions on this topic? I know we have a hard stop at 10 today. Did we have any announcements that we wanted to make? So
Yes.
next week, we will continue on our journey now. We have spoken about this topic at great length. Now we will start off, we'll wrap up chapter 2, maybe one more session, and then we will get into chapter 3 key concepts. And then after our second year celebrations, we will be back on our journey on chapter 4 and start taking one verse a day like we do, and continue on this fascinating journey for the rest of our chapters, Bhagavad Gita, all the way up to 18th chapter. Okay, so that is how our roadmap is going to be in coming year. Any key announcements, or we wanted to do some call outs as well, Sandhya, or announcements today?
Yeah, we have some announcements. The first one is, if you want to celebrate your New Year and the Christmas Eve, we have the Bhakti Yog Sadhana Shivir going on in Barana. It will start from December 25th and up to 31st December. The details are already in the chat and you can join it online. And all the lectures of Swamiji based on that Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the timings will be very suitable for people from US to participate also. So do check it out and register. Apart from that, from January 5th, New Year, that is Thursday, we will be having a Narad Bhakti session starting from 8 p.m. CST on the same Zoom link. So that is one thing. And please do check out the Swamiji's India tour, because he will be in Gujarat from January 5th up to January 14th. The details are already in the chat and I will put the link for checking out the schedule. Apart from that, we have the Sunday satsang coming up from live from RKT Dallas. So it happens every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. CST, which is 10 p.m. IST in India. So you can relish the bliss of bhakti from the comfort of your home. And the last announcement is about the Sanskriti, which is a cultural extravaganza by JK Yogs, Bal Mukund and Youth Club. The detailed schedule will be there on the website soon, but it is scheduled from January 20 to January 22. And I will put that link also in the chat. That's it from the announcement.
Great. And we have family camp also, right? Family camp registrations are open, early bird. So do check it out, because you may want to register it if you're thinking about it, and you can travel in from any part of US, and for that matter, any part of this planet to make it. Shyamji, for his personal reasons, cannot make it this time, but rest of you can. So do check it out. It's going to be a great event, and we get to spend one full week with Swamiji, and devotional nectar is just going to pour. Okay, so you don't want to miss out on that. And in very few years, I think it's almost positioning itself as the Kumbh Mela of US. You don't want to miss out on Kumbh Mela. Okay, it's going to be a spiritual treat, I should say. Check it out. And Banara, I think that those lecture series is going to start. So if you have not, do register for it. It's a great opportunity. And that's pretty much it, right? Anything else, Rahul?
I think we have some announcement from Amrita Vaniji. Just wanted to check that what she wanted to tell.
Yes, Amrita Vaniji, you had something?
Radhe Radhe, Amrita.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. Yeah, actually for satsang and yoga session, we need some volunteers who would like to admit people. So if anybody is interested, you can put it in the chat window. For the Zoom session, like co-hosting, basically we need co-host for satsang and yoga session.
Yeah, that will be nice. Yeah, if you want to volunteer, it's a good way to get involved. So, you admit people in school, you admit people in hospitals, but this one admission is going to be pretty awesome. Okay, if you do that, just a click and the seva is done. Great. Okay,
Thanks.
what else then? So yeah, like I said, we will resume. We will also have our, I have gotten the nominations for people who want to participate in the second year celebration. We'll do it in the first week of January. I'm currently on travel, so hopefully everything will cooperate around that time. We'll do that. So if you're not given, please fill out the feedback tracker and let us know. And then, like I said, we will get back on our schedule for chapter 4. I think maybe a few more sessions in January. We would cover the key concepts in chapter 3, chapter 4, and then we will get started on chapter 4, verse 32 onwards. That's where we left it off. Okay, any other questions or anything? We still have 7 minutes today. Nothing much. Yogamaya, Maya, Tatastha Shakti, everything is sorted out now. We have the Tatastha Shakti. We are the Swarupa Shakti is VIP. We are WIP, and Maya is IP, I guess, and doing its job. Important. Maya is simply IP, okay, I would say, and it's doing its job to perfection. And when we understand that we are both energized, we are actually energized by God, we are his fragmental part, then automatically this concept of being das or servant of God comes naturally. And when this concept comes, then your fundamental approach to devotion changes, because you're not meditating upon thinking yourself as a God. You start meditating upon asking God for his mercy and his help, that grace-based relationship that we look for. So that is how this process continues. And when we ask for God's grace, he's more than happy to bestow his grace through his Yogamaya power. And when we become God-realized, we become his Yogamaya power-yukta personality at that point. Yes, Sandhya, you had a question?
Not a question, but a comment. I really love that slide in which you had shown Soham to Dasoham, and that other one Daso Ham. I really liked it. I just wanted to compliment it.
Okay, no, that's good. Yeah, this is the basically difference between a bhakta and a jnani. Right? He says Soham, he said Dasoham, he says Sadasoham, he said Dasoham. So this continues. Okay, how many Soham you keep on putting, we will put a Da. Devotee will say, I'll put a DA before that. Okay, Dasoham, Dasoham, and that continues. Okay, you can take it to any level at that point. So that is the fundamentally approach around this. Okay. So I'm at a new place, so that's why the ambience has changed, but I'll be back to my original ambience with a better light. If I'm looking tired, okay, it's purely coincidental, not at all intentional. Okay, it's just a different setting today. So we had a long journey and a very adventurous journey, as I should say, to Seattle in midst of a snowstorm, which has come in, for the first time in the last 15 years. And it was quite an adventurous trip. We spent 1.5 hours in a plane, and that plane was not moving because apparently, I think the weather, first of all, the weather, and then they didn't have the refreshments, as if they're going to get some really great refreshments. So, and then once we were off, it was a bit of an ordeal to get a cab. And then when we got a cab, we had a pretty interesting incident where, with a bit of a skid in the car, and it was a narrow escape from that sense, but kind of an interesting experience all in all. And now we have to go to Canada, which we are giving it a second thought now, because it's supposed to go through a ferry, but ferry has to go through water. But if it is freezing, it will be all ice. So I don't know how that will go. So it's going to be interesting next few days, but sessions will continue regardless. And I'll try to improve the lighting, and I'll get my previous backdrop, Kurukshetra, back to Kurukshetra. Okay. So that way we'll resume our session in full flow from next week. But do sign up for our second year celebration that we're going to do if you've not already. Fill out the feedback tracker, and that way we can take it on from there. Yes, Surya Prakashi.
These devotees, how much they understood, learned, including me. How is there any test like this, sir?
Test? Oh, you want to give test? Sure.
Not me, sir. Not me.
Sure, we can have a quiz. We can have a quiz on this topic for sure. I know we've not had. Maybe some kind of a survey we can create where everybody can participate with the quiz. What happens is not everybody can participate through, that they're not very comfortable with Kahoot and all. But we'll figure out a way and see how many people have understood this.
Maybe polls during the classes. Yeah.
We can do polls. We'll do polls on this topic. Okay. It will not be competitive, but at least you'll get to know how many people have kind of understood the concept around it. It's an important concept. And we have barely scratched the surface on it, because that much I have understood. Okay. This topic can go to immense depths. And that's what Maharaj also said, right? That people are going to do thesis and a lot of research on this topic in the years to come. Okay. Yes, Rahul, real quick. We have 2 more minutes.
Yeah, there is a question from RTG. She wants some clarification between Sada Soham, Das Soham. Yeah.
Okay, Soham means I'm that, I'm God. Okay. And then the Bhakta says Dasoham, I'm not God, I'm the servant of God. Then the Gyani says Sada Soham, I'm always God. So Das says, he put a Da before that. He says, I am servant of God. So basically, the devotee always maintains the sentiment and understanding that I'm not God, I'm the servant of God. And if Gyani comes and says, I'm always God, he says, no, I'm always the servant of God. So that is a sentiment that is maintained, because they understand we are actually energized by God. By virtue of being energized, we become subservient to God. So that is the difference. Hope that makes sense. Okay, with that, we come to the end of today's session. I see Sunil Bhai is telling me that about time you guys move on. So all the best to all of you for the weekend. You can stay back for the next session. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Please fill up the feedback tracker before you leave. And stay warm, stay safe. And I will see you all next week. Radhe Radhe from my side. Thank you. Over to you, Sunil Bhai and Ajay.
Thank you, Nitin Bhai. Thank you for a wonderful session. Rahul ji, thank you. Sandhya ji, thank you. Always hope you stay safe, Nitin Bhai, in your adventures on the West Coast. It's always fun. So enjoy yourself. Be careful. Rahul ji, let's stop the recording here, and we'll start if you can make me the